Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
Heat Seekers, welcome back. It is another week in the books. Hopefully your week's fared better than ours, but we're here to help you. We've got some waivers to pick up. We've got some guys to move around. We're obviously in the thick of bye weeks. We're in the thick of the craziness of COVIDs and all the things, and we're here to help. So Mr. Sullivan and I and the team have put our heads together. We've shaken the proverbial 8 balls, and I think we have some good waiver wire pickups for you. But first, before we do that, Mr. Sullivan, how's it going, sir?
Very good, Brad. Thanks for having me back again. And yeah, other than my personal fantasy week, this is it's been a good week.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hopefully finding some gems for folks, and looking at my rosters, finding some gems for myself as well. So
the funniest thing is I think I might actually get a fishbowl win this week, which cracks me up. I'm like, I've been sucking most of the year, and all of a sudden it's like, maybe I'll get a win.
So you're saying you didn't start Joe Flacco there to get you negative 12.3 points this week?
No.
Yeah, me neither. So
that'd have been maybe a bad idea. But I do think in that league I started Aaron Rodgers, but I think it doesn't matter because I had a few guys going that had some big weeks. So
yeah, that league's quickly
a
write-off for me. My first 2 picks were Dak and Kyler, and after losing Dak, I picked up the only quarterback I could find, which was Flacco, who I thought might, I don't know, get me 10 points or so. Not so much. So, But that's enough about my woes. That's not why people are here.
You are here to hear the amazing waiver wire pickup. So before we get into that, we thank you guys for hanging out with us here on YouTube every week and listening to the videos and posting your comments below. If you have questions about anything that we've said or any of the waiver wires, make sure you post them in the comments. I pull up and have the comments rolling so I can respond to you. Rick responds to you. Obviously, guys from the team will comment in there as well. If you have other questions, hit our Facebook community, our Discord chat, on Twitter. Obviously, you see Mr. Sullivan's and my Twitter handles below our wonderful pictures. So we're here to help whatever way we can. Reach out to us and let us help you be successful. But without further ado, we're going to get into it. So we'll start at the top with quarterbacks. We got 3. Which, all seem to be not insanely highly owned in, ESPN and Yahoo and some of those. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr. Mr. Sullivan, what are your thoughts on those guys? Is there one you prioritize over the others? How do you feel about them?
Ryan Fitzpatrick just keeps going, man. I think he was QB6 coming into the week. He threw for close to 200 yards and 3 touchdowns today against the hapless Jets. We did see a little bit of Tua for a glimpse at the end, which was kind of fun. But the only thing that I thought was a concern for me with Ryan Fitzpatrick this year was when I looked at the Dolphins' early schedule, I thought they would really struggle to win, and then they would just go to Tua based on the fact that they were losing. But the Dolphins are competitive, and they're playing pretty darn good, and Fitzpatrick is leading the way. And, he's, what do I have? He's about 60% on ESPN, just under 50% on Yahoo. This guy's a top 5 quarterback probably when the week ends, season to date. He's a must-own all-format quarterback right now. What do you think?
It's quite amazing to me how well he's performed when I expected him to be a guy, because I have him in a few Superflex leagues, and I fully expected him to be a guy that was a bye-week fill-in, but I'm each week going, I'm probably going to start him in this matchup. It's hard not to trust him right now, especially, in these season-long type things. You got to put him in. You got to trust on him because he's got a fair amount of weapons and he likes them. Obviously we're seeing the emergence of Shaheen, so we know he has 2 tight ends that he likes. And unfortunately, Gesicki didn't get any targets today, but he didn't have to. The way this game played out, they didn't need to pass the ball after the first quarter. And so, but yeah, I would grab him up. I think he probably of the 3 has the most consistent floor. If you want the highest ceiling, though, I think it's Herbert because with his movement, with his legs and being able to run and get you some things, you get some rushing touchdowns and whatnot. And then Derek Carr is kind of the 3rd of those. So I'm probably going after Fitzpatrick if he's available, then Herbert, then Carr if I had to rate the 3. Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I'm totally with you, and I'm just going to glance to my notes here for a second. Herbert's schedule coming up: Jacksonville, Denver, Vegas, Miami, and the Jets. So
nice matchups.
That's a nice run for him. Carr's serviceable. The offense there has looked pretty good. And one more sort of maybe out of left field big dart throw for Superflex leagues. If Baker can't go next week, Case Keenum might be a plug and play guy if you're desperate in a Superflex league.
We have seen some fantasy relevant weeks out of Mr. Keenum back in his Minnesota days. So,
well, I think I'll take him back. Actually,
I'll say with the way things have been going, you might. He at least was getting you the dance, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to running back, which is I know a big need for a lot of people. This week we're going to bring up guys that probably are rostered in some cases, but they are not rostered enough that there should be rostered. So J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards from Baltimore, and then Justin Jackson and Josh Kelly from the Chargers. We've seen the ownership percentages on the different platforms, and they're not as high as we expected them to be. So if those guys are available, they're all guys that you could plug in and get some action out of. We saw Edwards appears to be overtaking Ingram. Like, he keeps getting more and more action there, which is really surprising. But
Yeah.
you know, the way that team is going, I think those two can get you weekly at least something. You know, so if you're in dire straits, Gus Edwards is kind of one of those chuck it, you know, flex plays, and you're like, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the Baltimore situation is interesting because Ingram did leave that game with injury, and then he came back, and then he left it for good. So I'm not sure even what the injury was or how severe it is. They are entering their bye week into week 7. So if you are picking up either one of them, it's to keep him on your bench for week 8 and beyond. I do like Gus Edwards in a multitude of different ways. He's kind of their closer too when they get up big. So he has the ability to close games out there. But I just can't help but shake the feeling that sooner or later, J.K. Dobbins is going to grab a bit more of a hold there and become a little bit more relevant. So I think the window's closing on picking up these guys.
Yeah.
I would prioritize Dobbins over Edwards, however, if I was grabbing one of the two.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think you're seeing with these rookie running backs, they're all starting to kind of take over. We saw Swift do the same in Detroit today. I mean, monster game against Jaguars, 2 touchdowns, I think, and lots of rushing yards. So
I played nice.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise, you know. So Dobbins is in the same boat. I fully expect him to take over because they're all very talented backs. I mean, eventually that cream rises to the top. And same with the Chargers. I think, you know, Kelly and Jackson provide value until Eckler gets back, and then after that, it'll be interesting to see kind of how they both fit into it with Eckler. But you should still get a couple more weeks of fairly solid play out of both of them before Eckler gets back and muddies the water. But those are both guys that you can grab. I think they're less than 60% in most. I forget the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah, they're both very similar. It's like 52 and 56 for their ownership, so they're out there. And they had an interesting game. So their game, I guess, was last Monday night against the Saints in their first game without Eckler, and they kind of split the carries. Jackson was 58% of the workload. Kelly was 42. Jackson looked like the preferred back this week, but it would not surprise me, last week. It would not surprise me in the slightest if coming into next week, it's the other way around. So I think it's going to be a hot hand approach. Yeah. And if you have a spot on your roster for them, I think both of them are a decent add. Kelly, probably the sustainable long-term value once Eckler returns. I think Josh Kelly's still the goal line back in Los Angeles, so we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely, I'd agree. All right, so on to wide receiver, and you're going to get a name that we keep bringing up because the ownership still hasn't shot up to the point where it doesn't make sense to bring him up in a waiver wire show. But Travis Fulgham from the Philadelphia Eagles continues to score, continues to get targeted. I think he had another touchdown in like 75 yards today, or 70 something, I think. Tim Patrick from the Denver Broncos appears to be getting more targets. You know, with Drew Lock back, he seemed to lock onto him a bit more. And then Keelan Cole from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He continues to also get action. Minshew's been targeting him regularly. And these are all guys that can get you some flex play opportunities and really give you some support in the back end or depth, you know, bye week fills and things like that. So, Mr. Sullivan, what's your take on those guys?
Fulgham's is an interesting cat. Like, I keep downplaying his significance for fantasy football, and he keeps proving me wrong. So the reality is there's not a whole lot of guys there to catch passes. Zach Ertz was hurt today, so that that limited Carson Wentz's options. Carson Wentz is running for his life, and
Mm-hmm.
Fulgham's his safety valve right now. He just seems to be comfortable with him. He's targeting him. He targeted him 10 times again today. Fulgham darn near caught a Hail Mary, too, at the end of the first half. He would have had yet another monster game in this one. So he needs to be owned. Still under 50% on ESPN. He's at 30% on Yahoo. So if you're on those platforms, go get this guy because there's really nothing coming back. Even if Djax or Jeffrey come back into the lineup, we have no idea what they're going to do. We don't know what Jeffrey's capabilities are, and Djax, sadly, is going to get hurt again. So Fulgham's a guy to grab. I think he's a nice asset for sure, especially this late into the season. Tim Patrick's a guy I really like, and he's a wide receiver in Denver that seems to excel when there's no one else around. So, Cortland Sutton's gone down, KJ Hamler's out, Noah Fant's not there today. And his quarterback trusts him, whether it was Driscoll or Rippon or Locke. They all he's a big guy, big target, seems to have good body control and good hands. So he's a good guy to have on your team as well, because their team is going to be probably trailing a lot and throwing a lot. And this week in week 7, they play the Chiefs. Guess what? The Broncos are going to have to throw the ball a ton if they want to have any semblance of winning that football game. And Keelan Cole's just a guy I really like. And I think, and I don't really know, but I think that DJ Shark's questionable status the majority of the season has probably given Minshew and Cole a lot of time in practice with reps and familiarity, and it seems to be paying off. Keelan Cole's a guy I really liked a couple of years ago. He kind of faded away. Now it looks like he's back. So I think they're all good at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and with Fulgham, obviously we've only seen him 3 weeks now, but all 3 weeks he's double digits scoring. But if you look at kind of like the average points, he's second in the league right now behind Hopkins. Depending on your scoring, he's averaging around 20 points per week. And it's Philly's going to have to keep throwing because that team is just not good this year. So they're going to have to continue to do that. So Fulgham is a guy that you probably could make your weekly, wide receiver 2 or 3 right now, and probably for the rest of the season the way it's going. So.
Yeah, Miles Sanders went down in that one today too. So again, there's more injuries.
I'm a shock face.
You have 2 feet and a heartbeat in Philly. You're probably a viable asset right now. So
the Corey Clement hype train might be coming back through again.
Hey, I picked up Boston Scott in a fishbowl. Maybe there's hope yet. What a joke.
I know. It's crazy. So on the tight end, though, now, where we had a Gronk sighting.
Yeah.
You got to pick him up. He might actually be getting targeted again. He got a touchdown this week, and maybe him and Brady got that mojo going back again. But not only that, we saw Logan Thomas get some love with Washington. He's a guy that it looks like, kind of sneaky Darren Waller type that you might be able to pick up. And he is an athletic tight end where maybe get you some action over the rest of the season with some of the injuries we've seen. Doesn't hurt. And then last but not least, we are going to continue to bring up Dallas Goedert. He will be back from injury soon, and you got to get him. He is going to be just a beast when he gets back, because he always is. And when he's on the field, they target him. He gets touchdowns. He gets lots of action. So, Mr. Sullivan, what's your take on the tight ends?
Fun to see Gronkowski have a good game today. That's as close as we've seen him to any semblance of 17 Gronk. He looked good. He had real nice body control on his touchdown. I think it's just fun for me personally. So, but O.J. Howard is gone. I fully expected Cameron Brate to be the guy today, and he was not. So, I think that was the 90th. I can't remember how many touchdown passes. It was a stupid number of touchdown passes between Gronk and Brady. And you've got to figure that. Logan Thomas is a fun guy. I think he was a converted quarterback, which when you look at him is weird. He's had 4 targets in every game, and he's doing okay. And I think, Washington is one of the rare teams where Kyle Allen is an upgraded quarterback. And I think that benefits Logan Thomas. And Goddard is an absolute must-add. I know Rick brought it up when he was on with you last week. He's coming back. He could come back as early as this week coming up. Ertz went down. Sanders went down. It's Fulgham. It's Hightower. It's J.J. Arcega-Whiteside recovering fumbles in the end zone. And that's all there is in Philly. So I fully expect Dallas Goedert to be a monster when he comes back. He was a top 10 tight end on the season last year. Wentz loves him in the red zone. So, yeah, he's an absolute must-add guy if he's available in your leagues. 24% owned in ESPN and 40% owned in Yahoo. So, I don't know what those guys are doing, but go grab yourself some Dallas Goedert.
Absolutely. So there you go. That's it. Those are the names. Pick them up. Get some wins. Thank us when it happens for you. And we'll be back next week. So thank you guys for hanging out. If you have questions, throw them in the comments. If you like the video, Don't forget to subscribe. Do all the notifications so you can stay up to date when we go live. Our weekly redraft shows Wednesday nights. We've got Devy content. We've got and our Devy team, which includes me and Paul, and we've got Craig helping. And some of the other guys on the team. We're starting to talk 2021 rookies. Coming up this week, we've got a way too early 2021 rookie mock draft that's coming out. So
Sweet.
Keep it locked here to RotoHeat and RotoHeat.com for all of the amazing fantasy football content to help you in 2020 and beyond. See ya.
Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos. Do it. You want to. Do it.